StrayNet system, the second bullet, will extend the existing 6084 StrayNet route to include the Cannon main gate. So they've already indicated they will go from Prince Street to the main gate, approximately 7 miles. The StrayNet evaluating extending the 6084 route to Maffer, which is Melrose Air Force Range, and Roosevelt Road. There is a precedent for connecting to training ranges. StrayNet has required additional information about the utilization of Maffer for ground training, and we know there's a lot of ground training goes on out there. They do a lot of exercises and things. But they have indicated that they want to support that. And they did say, the last bullet point says, their estimated timeline to assess and issue determination is approximately 3 months. So within about 90 days, we're going to have a good idea of where we are on 6084. And from Prince Street to their gate, I measured it when I drove home Tuesday, is 37 miles. So we'll have 37 miles of really nice. And when you're deemed as a StrayNet highway, you have access to federal funds for your roads. So it should be a good thing. I want to encourage you. We're doing everything we can. We have a great team in Santa Fe. We've got a great secretary. We've got a great District 2 engineer. I'm more hopeful now than I have been in a long time. So, Mayor, thank you for letting us have so much of your time. I appreciate it very much.
Well, thank you for bringing that in. Great job on all of that. Appreciate that, Representative Crowder, very much.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioners, I want to give a short presentation on LEDA for retail, but before I do, I want to check and see if there's anyone else from the public that has anything that they wish to share this evening. Anyone from the public that wants to bring something before the Commission? Seeing none, I will, as I mentioned, give you a quick presentation on LEDA for retail. Commissioners, I don't have to tell you how excited I am about this and how long and how hard we've worked on this. A wonderful team working together that included, and you know, I feel bad that Representative Crowder just left because he was instrumental. If not for him, it wouldn't have passed the House in the last legislative session. But wanted to update you. Let's go on to the next slide. For the public's benefit, I wanted to I just wanted to mention that on the November ballot, so the Curry County election ballot for November 2nd is a very important question for the citizens of Clovis, and it's a question regarding local Economic Development Act funding, and I want to stress that it is not a question about a tax increase or not a tax increase. There is not a tax increase associated with this in any way. Rather, the question is about the use of economic development funds that the city already has, that the city already generates through a dedicated gross receipts tax. There has been a recent change in the state law, as I mentioned, Senate Bill 49 that Representative Crowder helped us tremendously with, changed the state law, which previously restricted what a community like ours could use their local economic development funding on. And it reserved it solely for industry. So for incentivizing industry and manufacturing and that type of thing. But this change in the law came about and now opens up the ability to use your economic development funds to incentivize retail development. And that is the only thing that's been added. Otherwise, we're talking about the same funds that are dedicated to economic development, and we're talking about the same process for considering projects to support with these public funds. And now I'm ready to go back to the slide just before this one, if we could, IT, and talk about the typical flow of an economic development project. Mr. Malloy was just here from CIDC. Ernie Koss is still here from the Chamber and CIDC. And so they are well acquainted with this process, as are most of you commissioners. But for the public's benefit, I wanted to just talk about the flow of an economic development project, it begins, if you start there on the left, at CIDC. Clovis Industrial Development Corporation is the contractor that does the work of economic development for our community. So they identify prospects, or prospects approach them and ask what incentives, what funding is available, those kinds of things. So there's an application process at CIDC. CIDC is a local board, and you have local professionals, sharp folks at CIDC that are going to qualify those projects, see that they meet criteria. They're going to vet those projects. And if it moves forward, then the next step is the project goes before the Economic Incentive Board, which is a city board. It's a board appointed by by you, commissioners, and the makeup of that board is all citizens. There are no elected officials on economic incentive boards, so you have citizens representing citizens and vetting these projects. So CIDC would bring the project to EIB, Economic Incentive Board, where citizens sitting on that board would vet the project and make a determination and a recommendation that would wind up here at the City Commission. The City Commission would have final say on whether or not to support an economic development project. And that process, that flow is true as of right now and only pertains to industry and not retail, because as it stands, we are not supporting retail. But if the voters say yes in the November 2nd election, then retail development projects, both expansion of an existing retail establishment in our city, if they're going to be expanding and creating new jobs, that would qualify. And then also new business coming to town, new retail business coming to town could be dropped right into this flow, where it's going to start at CIDC, be vetted by EIB, and then wind up at the commission potentially. So we'll go on to the next slide, please. And that's where we have a description about what happened with Senate Bill 49. The legislature amended the State Local Economic Development Act and allows now cities of 35,000 and above in population to treat retail development as economic development. I want to point out that has been allowed for cities smaller than us, smaller than 35,000, all along. So it's just now, we've leveled the playing field. The legislature leveled the playing field to allow cities our size to do this. So we'll move on to the next slide, please. Let's talk about the definition of retail. I want to be very clear about this. We're talking about adding retail to the economic development toolbox in Clovis, right? So what is retail? There is a definition in the state statute that we use to define retail here in our city, and it is a business that is primarily engaged in the sale of goods or commodities at retail and located in a municipality, in this case Clovis. And you see a couple of bullet points there having to do with population. There, prior to the change in the law earlier this year, there were, under 15,000, there were certain rules that applied. Between 15,000 and 35,000, there was another set of rules. Now, economic or retail development is economic development per this definition. So I want to point out that is the definition. Retail is defined as businesses engaged in the sale of goods or commodities at retail. We don't have an asterisk to say everything that it excludes, but that excludes restaurants and fast food restaurants. They're not included in the definition of retail. So I want to be very clear about that. So we'll move on and talk about what the incentives are currently. We talked about the typical flow, and so an economic development project within the industry realm is public funds given to or awarded to a project that is in exchange going to do certain things, create a certain number of jobs and those kinds of things, right? But the funds are used to offset land, building, and infrastructure investment on the part of the industry that would be applying. Same is true for retail. If we add retail development to this, then that's what retail development projects could qualify for, to offset their land building and infrastructure costs. All of these awards would be post-performance, okay? So we wouldn't talk to someone who tells us, oh, we're gonna come and we're gonna create, hundreds of jobs and do lots of retail business and generate a lot of GRT, and then we're going to just give them money up front, trusting that they're gonna do that. That's not how it's gonna go. Again, go back to the flow of the project, CIDC, then EIB, then finally at the commission. These are gonna be post-performance awards, if at all, right? Okay? So we'll move on and mention that our chamber, we're so grateful for the partnerships that we have across the community, certainly grateful for the partnership that we have with the Chamber of Commerce in August, seeing this coming and knowing that it was going to be going out to the voters and representing business in our city. The chamber unanimously voted to approve a resolution in support of the local implementation of this. And we have a couple of folks from the chamber today. Of course, our chamber director, Ms. Ernie Koss, but we also have Latrice Brooks, who is not only a board member, but she's also the chairperson for the Chamber Retail Committee. And if you had anything you wanted to add, either of you, I'd welcome that. And I can pause or I can keep going. Please. Hello, Mrs. Brooks. Thank you for being here. Again, Ms. Brooks is a chamber board member and also chairperson for the Chamber Retail Committee.
Thank you for the opportunity, and we want to say a big thank you for spearheading this project, because it is very important, and what I understand is it's been tried for many, many years and has not had a good success rate, but our mayor pushed forward and got it done. So we are excited about that. I've gone to several board meetings with him and to several different entities where he's talked about this. And my biggest thing is in support of him and this House Bill 49.
Oh,
Yeah.
Senate Bill 49.
Senate Bill 49.
Yes.
We have the opportunity to talk to people in our circles, because not everybody's coming to these public meetings, not everybody's in an organization, and so it's important to get the word out about what that question is and what it really means. And we hear a lot of rumors already that, why isn't it this and why isn't it that and why doesn't it go to this fund or that fund? But helping people understand that this is a line item already created by gross receipt tax, and the money's already there. We just want to boost the retail opportunity, and that's where this town is hurting tremendously. And so we've really worked with our local businesses to stay afloat during COVID, and those people that have hung on, they need that support. They had several opportunities to where they had to do things to keep their business afloat, and because of that grant that we received, that helped. But to expand their current business, to hire more employees, to get things done that they need to do, this also supports them, the local originating businesses. So we want you to say yes to this question, and we highly support it, and thank you for this opportunity, and share with your friends, neighbors, and coworkers.
Thank you, Mrs. Brooks. Appreciate that very much. Appreciate the Chamber's support. So, commissioners and members of the public, you have the Chamber of Commerce, who represents their, I'm sorry, Ms. Koss, did you have something? When you're done, I'll go. Okay, well, sorry about that. I looked over and I thought, oh no, I didn't allow you the opportunity. I will. You're welcome to share. But what I wanted to point out, commissioners, and for members of the public, I want you to catch this. You have the Chamber of Commerce. Their membership is all local businesses, or mostly local businesses. They represent business in our community, yet they support this. Why is that? Because they understand that a rising tide has a way of raising all boats, right? And they also understand that the work that we would do, if allowed to use this and do the economic development work of developing our retail sector, is all going to be done based on an opportunity gap analysis. Plainly put, if there is a category of retail that's already well represented in our city, you won't see the city seeking to use public funds to incentivize them to come in. Now, if they want to come in, God bless them, and we hope they run a good business and they're successful, but we wouldn't use public funds to incentivize a category of retail that's already well represented. No, the motive here is to fill the gaps in our retail offering. There is money leaving our community every day and being spent over in Texas, where, by the way, they incentivize retail development. So we need this in order to begin filling the holes and the gaps in our retail offering. And as we start to do that, as the hemorrhage starts to slow, then our local economy is lifted, because that's another job or two here, or another 10 or 20 or 100 jobs here. That's more money being spent here. That's more revenue coming through the city coffers by way of gross receipts, so that the city can provide services like fire and EMS and police, sanitation, all those things. So that is the motivation, is to shore up our local economy, and we're going to do all of that if allowed by the voters, and we're going to do that through opportunity gap analysis. And I just think that we have a great opportunity as citizens and as voters to be a part of making a big decision that's going to change what quality of life looks like for our community going forward, that's going to change what the health and growth of our local economy looks like going forward. So I want to hit on the ballot question itself, because this thing is written, as these things are, in legalese. So please, let's understand that this is the question that you're going to see on the ballot, and then we're going to show you a sample ballot. And this portion of tonight's meeting is going to be cut out and made available online for anybody to watch back. But you want to notice that this is the question that you're going to run into on the ballot. Shall the city of Clovis allow retail businesses to constitute a qualifying entity for the purpose of furthering or implementing economic development plans and providing public support for projects as defined in the Local Economic Development Act? So that's the question. And then on the next slide, we have a sample ballot. That may be hard to see, but again, this is available on the city's Facebook page. It's been shared there, and we're going to share this portion of this meeting again. But depending on where you live, this may be your ballot. Very simple. 2 unopposed races for soil and water conservancy, followed by the question that we're talking about at the bottom of the ballot. Very simple ballot, very straightforward. If you happen to live in School Board District 1, there's a school board race that you'll vote on, and then these things. But it's a one-page ballot, and that's what we're looking at. Early voting has already started on Tuesday, October 5th. There's a second early voting location that's being stood up at the mall on the 16th, and then the election itself is on November 2nd. So I encourage the public to be informed about this and to consider what an opportunity we have before us, and I hope you'll get out and vote.
Very well.
All right, we will move on. Commissioners, one last chance while we're in. Oh, I'm so sorry. And it's not like I could forget you, but I'm so sorry.
I know.
Miss Ernie Koss.
Thank you, Mayor.
All you had to do was look at her face, Mayor. She's telling you a lot of
I'm
things
embarrassed.
without
Sorry about
saying
No, don't be embarrassed. As a voice for the Clovis Curry County Chamber, I just want to emphasize that our organization is in full support of this change for supporting retail's economic development. So I've been there long enough that I was involved with the original LEDA when we passed it in 2000? 2000. So the chamber took the lead in CIDC and actually partnered with local media to make that happen. And so it's exciting to see that we can now include retail, hopefully. So I just want to also say that we supported LEDA as a legislative priority in last November. And so we, both CIDC and the Chamber, had this as one of our top main priorities. And so we were actively involved in the efforts to support Mayor Morris while he was at the state trying to get this passed. And so we're real proud of you. And then you already mentioned that the Chamber board had unanimously supported this. And so I just, I mean, we are an organization of businesses. We have approximately 600 members. And so especially, since we've had the pandemic and trying to keep businesses strong and open and stuff, we understand that retail is a significant economic driver. And so I just appreciate you, Mayor, coming to the Chamber Ambassadors yesterday, because I knew it was coming up. I mean, we've had a lot on our mind at the office. And I knew it was coming up, and I didn't think about the fact that early voting started a couple days ago. So we really need to get the information out as it relates to getting this change. And so it's an exciting opportunity for Clovis, and so whatever we can do to support you, we're happy to do so.
Well, I appreciate that, and let me thank you once again in this public forum for all of your support along the way. You know, with the passing of Chase Gentry lately, it's kind of, I know it's been difficult down at the chamber, and what a tremendous loss for our community. And, we're talking about economic development tonight, whether it be the manufacturing month or this, and, what a loss. But commissioners, early on, I went over and saw Chase and Ernie and talked to them about this effort and that we wanted to do this. And they got behind it. And they got behind it in a big way. They networked among the other chambers and economic development organizations around the state and got support for this thing. And there were resolutions going into the legislature because of Ernie and Chase talking about this with the other chambers. We had support from all over the state due to your efforts, and I just thank you for that. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for mentioning that, because I was sitting over there thinking how happy Chase would be, because it's Manufacturing Day, and then we've all got this excitement opportunity with LEDA, and then Lee and Taylor had to run out there and catch the Department of Transportation guy, because we have a project that we need his help with, and so it's an exciting time for Clovis.
It sure is. Thanks a lot, Ms. Koss. Appreciate it. Before we leave petitions of communications or receipts of petitions and communications, is there anyone from the public that has something that they would like to bring before the commission? Seeing none, commissioners? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I was being too quick there. Good evening, sir. Let's have your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Christopher Finch. Address is going to be 1212 West Yucca.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, I was coming up because I wanted to bring up a discussion of ordinances for zoning. I know we're talking about LEDA and all that good stuff, and I feel like cannabis is definitely something that can generate the kind of income that we want to, bring to our city. But besides that, as far as the zoning, I feel like we're having issues with getting our business started because some of them seem a little unfair, I guess, in a sense, but we just want to discuss it, really, so we can get some things changed about it.
Okay. And are you having that discussion? Have you talked to the city manager?
I
Have you
have.
talked to planning and zoning?
I have actually went through all the channels as of now to get the topic of the zoning changed. It was supposed to actually be on the agenda for zoning and planning this past week, but there was an issue with the zoning application change. But I think a lot of things that we're seeing is that for the producing side, we're already pushed over